Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How is everybody doing today? How are the children? How is the Arabic learning? So feel free to like unmute and like answer if you want to, or maybe if you feel more comfortable on the chat, that's good too, because I decided to not have a presentation PowerPoint today because I just decided that since we are talking about Arabic storybooks, it should be interactive. It should be something where we hear from each other because this is a community webinar, and the more we can share, the more we get out of it. So that's the point, as opposed to it being like a workshop where we are telling you things and you're just listening in. So that's the idea, inshallah. So Anisa says, Alhamdulillah, good to see you. Yes. I almost feel like I need to start like clapping or doing something in Arabic, right? Alhamdulillah. Okay, I'm just going to put in some settings in place. Okay. So I started the recorder, and the recording will be for those who didn't join, etc. All of that said, if anybody has any questions, I will be looking back at the chat. So as we speak, as we discuss, as we're interacting, if there are questions, like plug those in on the chat box, and then we can move ahead with that. All right. So yeah, let's begin. Bismillah. Like I like to be a little bit on time. So the first things first, I know there are a lot of new people that are joining in today. Who some old faces. I see some known names and some unknown names as well. So my name is Juwayriya Siddiqui, and I am the hidden face behind Arabically. That's all I will say. I'm also a researcher in applied linguistics. So I study the motivation of non-native Arabic children learning Arabic in the United Arab Emirates. We also hold a lot of workshops through Arabically, which are designed actually directly, like keeping in mind the motivation of the child, because that's what the bigger picture is, right? Trying to keep them motivated in the long run. Now, the topic for today is choosing Arabic storybooks. Now, this is not the first time we have done this webinar. We have done things similar to this. Even like every time there is a Sharjah book fair or any big fair in the country, we try to encourage people to go and have a look at the Arabic storybooks. Now, I want to hear from some of you, how has that experience been? And just like in 30 seconds, like if you can tell us, how has your experience been walking around Arabic storybook stalls in any of the fairs in the country? Anybody can just unmute and go ahead, or you can raise your hand and I can call your name out. So how has that experience been? It's okay, you can always break the ice. Somebody needs to break the ice. Hafsa, your voice is very low. Can you speak a little loudly? Yeah, a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah. So what I was saying was that it's very overwhelming. Like, so yeah. So I feel like, it's like when you go and you have no idea what to do because there's so much variety there, and because we're non-Arabic speaking, we don't know what to do.
Right. Okay, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Overwhelming. Yeah. Okay. Anybody else would like to add to that? Like apart from overwhelming, what are the other experiences you've had when you like imagine yourself, you're getting into the fair. If I tell you, okay, you need to go, like you want to have Arabic storybooks, because a lot of you're here because you want to purchase books, right? And there's something or the other that you face when you head to these stalls, that's why you're here to learn, like, okay, how do we make a better deal out of wherever we go? How do we know that our transactions are actually benefiting, the books that we buy are actually benefiting our children, right? Any other yes, Sabah?
Assalamu alaikum. Yes, the problem that I have faced is I'm relatively new with the Arabic language. So for my child, I prefer books that have Arabic and English in them. Like, there's
Right.
Arabic text and English text together. So
Right.
there's hardly any books there. I've only found like 2 or 3 of them.
Okay.
But yeah, so like even if it's like short stories, I'd prefer to have the English text below, so that when I'm reading, at least I can understand or translate it there and there
Right.
instead of going on to the Google Translate and translating it like that. Yeah.
Right. So translation, right? So that's another thing. So overwhelming, and then there's also this big issue of I don't really understand what I'm reading. That's always a big one, and we will get to that in just a few minutes on how do you overcome that. So
Assalamu alaikum.
go ahead, Hawa. Yeah, go ahead. Walaikum salam.
How are you doing?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. How are you
I'd
doing?
like also, alhamdulillah, I'd like also to add our small experience. We have alhamdulillah good experience. We attend every year. We try to attend in Abu Dhabi and in Sharjah both, and we buy lots of books. I studied myself Arabic at university, and plus I've attended many workshops how to choose books for kids. Like not too many texts at the beginning. So alhamdulillah, we usually pick up lots of books from them. And then you also we use a lot of libraries, government libraries. They have also so many nice books.
Right.
And we learn also from your page about the publishers, which choose their books.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I think Hawa, next time you should lead the presentation. MashaAllah. Yeah. So like because that this is what it is, right? When we're bringing the community together, the idea is to share. Okay, there are people who are buying books, right? You don't necessarily have to know everything that you're like you don't have to understand everything that you're buying, but that there is a process, and sometimes what you purchase, maybe 30% of it, 20 to 30 or less than 30 is what you understand. And there's so much more in that book that you need to discover in the process of reading that book in the span of the next 2-3 years or like next 5 years, right? So maybe like let's begin like right from the beginning. Like when you enter these bookstalls and things, don't go in with the idea that whatever book I purchase, because for English storybooks or whatever your first language is or second language where you're comfortable, you have this idea that, okay, if it's for my children, I almost get it. But for Arabic, I don't, so I need to have an English book. And this kind of alludes to what you were asking, Saba, about having that English and Arabic book where there's both. What if we think, because honestly, there is a market for that, but it's really small. So I can tell you, yeah, go ahead and buy these 2 or 3 books, but that will not train you or your child to discover or to explore the more, I would say I don't know how to put this, like the more fun readers, because the fun books, the ones that are humorous, the ones that actually make the children go like, wow, I want to know more, or they themselves go and pick this from your bookshelf at home, those are only in Arabic. Right? The Arabic English ones are there, but they're very few and they're just very dry. Like for most part, like there might be 1 or 2, but then you want to get into the habit where it's okay to be uncomfortable with not knowing everything. So that's where I will quickly jump in. I'm going to share my screen, and I want all of you to just put up your typing fingers and answer this question, just so that we have consensus, because nobody seems to be talking for some reason. Okay, that's my screen, and I will be sharing a link on the chat. That's how you can access. 1 second, everyone in the meeting. Here you go. So that's the link. Ani says the link working. Can you check? I feel like it's not. Like I feel like no. Okay, it's not working. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, it's not working.
Yeah. Let me put the link up here to make it work. Okay, yeah, that works. Okay. So I'm going to set up again. Okay, here you go. That's with the HDTV. So everybody can just like access that link, and whatever you answer comes up on the screen here. And I will share that thing in a minute. So you can answer the question. The first one you should be looking at is, okay, I've activated the poll. Let me know if anybody is not able to answer, or when choosing good storybooks, what do you look out for? Now, this can be a bit generic as well if you want, if you wish. It doesn't necessarily have to be for Arabic or English, but I would think more children, think more language, right? Even if it's not English, just another language, right? So, right. So there are different question answers coming in here. Illustrations, font. Okay, font. So the way this response thing works, if most of you answer something like similar, that's big, that word becomes bigger. So that means there's more consensus on that word, or there's more popularity. Okay, so illustration seems to be huge. Language and simple. Right, this is fun. Okay. Relatable. Okay. Okay, I think we can move on from here just to like carry forward what's going on here. Arham says, I never bought Arabic books other than Quran, need guidance, can't answer your question. Okay, so that's another good one too, right? I have never purchased Arabic books. So if I have never looked out for it, how would I know what to look out for? Good. Okay, so that's the part that we will help you with. Okay, so let me just deactivate this because all of you seem to be having a lot of fun going up with this. Oops. How do I exit the poll? Okay, here you go. Okay. That's it. Okay. So the question here is, so you know what you're looking for when you're looking at Arabic storybooks. And Arham, we will come back to your point because by the end of the webinar, your questions will kind of like get answered, but I will keep that in mind as I'm talking as well. So illustration seems to be a big one. Now language, when it's Arabic, it's scary, right? And then like Sabah just now mentioned, and I'm not picking on you, Sabah, but you just said, oh, I don't know how to read, or I don't know how to understand, so I find it hard. What if we kind of take a step back and actually realize because of the Quran, we actually do know how to read a lot more than if we had, say, picked up a Spanish book or a French book or something which was completely new to us. So instead of thinking of, oh, I only do Quran, so I cannot do Arabic storybooks, how about if we change that shift, that idea, and say, oh yeah, because I read the Quran, there's a lot of the language that I already understand. Right? Maybe you don't understand the meaning, right? Like hear me out here. Not the meaning, but the language, right? Like I understand how the language works. I know where the words are stopping and starting, and like the basic things. Which think of it as a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old. What matters? That you understand. You read 2 words and you understand. You read 3 words and you understand that. I mean, that's how slow you want your process of reading to be. Because if you think of it as an adult, you will suddenly feel, oh my God, I cannot read paragraphs, or I don't understand paragraphs. How about if you just go 2 words, 3 words at a time? So the first thing that you are actually looking out for, along with illustrations and along with it being simple and all of that, is thinking of it as from a child's perspective, right? As a 4-year-old, as a 6-year-old, or however old your child is, and looking at these storybooks and saying, would my child like this, right? Would they be attracted? Now we're just talking about the very first time, like you're going to bookstalls, not the long-term thing of, is it really a good buy, right? Like we'll come to that in like 15 minutes. It's just, okay, illustrations are good. My child might seem to like it. They're simple. Okay, then I can go and like actually explore a little bit further inside. Do they have to have a lot of big words because my child is 9? Not necessarily. Is there a question? Okay. Somebody's having their voice. Okay. So I think when you read the Qaida Nuraniya, when you're reading the Quran, the first step is always, what kind of books do I choose, right? Because when you go to Arabic storybook shelves, they're like filled with sentences, etc. What if we go with early reader books? And that's what we have been like pushing this entire year, or if not more, on let's bring in leveled readers. Because even in English, if English is your second language, that is how you started. You didn't just start with like letters and then you just didn't jump to like higher level sentence books, right? Like paragraph books, storybooks. You went with level readers. So I would say keep an eye out, no matter where you go, even if it's Sharjah Book Fair or elsewhere, look out for level reader books. Okay, so with that, because I'm still, I want you to still like interact on this and like add your own ideas. Mention what discourages you from buying an Arabic storybook. So I'm going to activate it. So you can use the same poll. It should be active. You should see this question. If not, just like refresh the browser. Anissa, are you able to see the question? Next question? Okay, people are answering. Okay, so let's just press the present bar. So mention what discourages you from buying an Arabic storybook. The text, okay. The prices, okay. Oh, that's to make it. Okay, here we go. So mentioning, okay, I'm just gonna wait for a few seconds till we have like a consensus on this. Okay, so I like this because I think a few years back when we actually started looking for like good storybooks as a family, I think these were the two things that really discouraged me as well. The illustrations, believe it or not, it was the illustrations and it was the price, right? And there are things that said quality is bad, poor quality, the publishing, the content, yes, content, and we will come to that as well. Exposure, prices, okay. So I think we are pretty much on a consensus on this, that it is the illustration and the prices, right? The prices are extremely high, and that's the reason why we are trying to work with Arabic publishing houses here, based in the UAE, as well as others who have their distributors, like the ones in Jordan and Egypt and etc. So that if anything, you can at least we can take that headache out of you of searching like 100 stalls and finding good books. So if we tell you, hey, listen, we have been using these books with our children in our programs, and you can try these. So when you go to the go to fairs, you at least have a list of 7 to 8 publishers that you can go and explore specifically without having to feel this is overwhelming. So that's one thing. Now in terms of prices, yes, that was another thing that kept coming back when we were actually buying books over the past few years, is that they don't really negotiate. And Arabically is trying to get you good deals, inshallah. That's the reason why we've spoken to, like, we've had meetings all week long to get discounts and vouchers and, you know, just good deals on these books so that the price doesn't discourage you. So the two things that are like on face value, the illustrations and the prices, those two are being taken care of in some way. Now that said, let's move on to question number 2. I don't know if anybody has a question on this, like accessible. Yeah, so I think that's another question. That's a bigger issue for the UAE, where we are not really able to get into a store and buy books. But let's focus on it just being the book fair, and, you know, how do we make these books that are already there accessible to us? Okay, so I will. Now this is one of my favorite questions, because this kind of tells me the kind of market that is existent. All right, so I'm going to activate this. I don't really know if you can answer anything. I think it's just a click thing. So I don't think I should really open the screen on here, but I just want you to put it on the chat box, either a yes, or if you own books like these, or have you seen. So you can just say yes if you have seen books like these, or you own books like these, or you can say no if it's neither. Yes, no, yes, seen and own both, yes. Okay. So a lot of you are aware of books like these, right? Like, you've seen a lot of these in the market. And there's a reason for this, because for the longest time, publishing in Arabic, children's Arabic literature was all about, it was very preachy. And that's the reason why even if, I think as early as 2015, when I started like actually getting really interested in Arabic storybooks and I went to fairs, mostly these were the books that, and even now, if you go to the stalls, these are the kind of books you will see for most part, at least like maybe 70% of the time, right? Like you go in and they're like, and you think, okay, it's good, like they're colorful, right? The illustrations are not as amazing because, you know, we have evolved as a digital industry, but there's still something that these books are lacking that are not clicking with our children. And that's what I want you to be very conscious of when you go to these stalls. Just because it's colorful, just because it's Arabic, and just because it's simple, right? That still doesn't mean that that book will work for your child. So now everybody's like, So she just told us that illustrations are important. It should be colorful and like it should be simple. Text is simple, right? Like if it has like 2 words or 1 word, I don't know how the books are inside, but for most part, if they are like that, and that's still not working for the child, so then what's going on? What is the issue then? I'm not going to answer this. You will answer this. So why are we not reading books like these, like the ones that we just, the pictures that I just shared, that collection? I want you to answer the same link. I don't know if you've lost the link, I can put the link up again. People have lost it. Here, the link again. So why are we not reading books like these? Like when I say we, I mean like us as a family, children. I want to hear from you. Okay. Overwhelming. Okay, if whoever said overwhelming, if you can, or who, I mean, doesn't have to, but if you can even put it on the chat, I want to hear like why do you think these are overwhelming? Like because these are just like 1 word here and there. They're colorful, uninteresting, overwhelming, hard. Okay. Poor content, language barrier. Okay. Okay. So I'm just going to stop the screen share there. Okay, and give me 1 second. Let me just exit the poll. Right. Okay, so those are, I think, like good problems to have, because at least that means that there are books out there for your children, but then it's just that we are not choosing the ones that really, really click with our children, right? Now, again, when you go into the stall and you have colorful books and then they're simple, but then on face value, right? And I want those of you who are paying really like good attention to what we've been discussing. There are some pictures on this book as well, on this page as well, right? And you've seen the pictures on that first illustration I showed you. If anybody would like to like unmute or like maybe put on the chat box, what's the difference between the books we saw earlier versus these set of books? And there are no right or wrong answers. Yeah, who would like to say? So
they have more contemporary drawings which may attract the children.
They have, sorry, what more?
These pictures depict that more contemporary drawings which attracts the children, because whereas the previous, it was not well in children, even it was not attracting to me. How about to the children?
Excellent point, sir. I don't know who was talking right now. Was it Asima? Who was it? Sorry, I didn't get your name.
Sister Yasmine.
Yasmine. Okay, thank you. Yes, Yasmine, because I can't see it. There's so many things on my screen right now. But yes, excellent point there. The picture by itself has to be something where, you know, this is again the first step, right? Like you look at the books, they're colorful, etc., but then there's something different about the kind of design that appeals to you as well as to your child. Right. There's text as well. What Zahra says, clear illustrations and good printing quality. Okay, so we're all talking about like first level, right? Don't judge a book by a cover, but when it comes to books which we don't really understand, we have to go forward like that. Okay, aesthetically pleasing, appealing illustrations. Okay, so you kind of, the reason why I see everybody knows that their books have to be like really good quality and good illustrations. But what I'm doing here is just like hoping that by showing what books are out there mostly versus what are few and important, so that it helps you understand how do you differentiate that on the first go, because even though there are so many stalls, right? Titles look less preachy. That is where Joelia is saying that the titles look less preachy, and even if you don't understand the titles, you can actually tell, and that's an excellent point. Apart from the picture, and you don't always necessarily need to know what the title is, but then you can tell from the picture that, like this one says tuta tuta, and the girl is holding a tuta, like a raspberry, right? Does it tell me about something about the manners of what the child will learn, or what etiquette, or what moral the story will have, etc., etc.? No, it just tells me that it's going to be about a tuta. Now in English, these things come easy to us because we just think, hey, this is a good author. There's more awareness about these things, so it's easy to pick these books. But when it comes to Arabic, you think, hey, but Quran is related to Arabic, so the books have to be, really like imagine the Arabic storybooks as a spectrum, right? I'm not saying that the books that I showed previously are bad, right? But there's a time after, reading like letters, and then early reader books, leveled books, these kind of books, like the one that I'm showing on display right now. Then you kind of move on to the ones that are more close to the Fusha, which is which kind of directly connects the child to the Quran. Like that's the spectrum, that's the timeline, that's how you want the child to move from letters to like graded books, etc., etc., till for them to really understand the Quran, right? Like at the end, that's one of the goals. That if that's one of your goals, for example, that's not necessary, but if that is the thing, these are the supplements that you need to fill in their reading journey, which make it exciting for them to say, hey, so for me, if my child, I have like the Arabic book section and they have the English book section right next to it on the shelf, they don't really differentiate whether the book is English or Arabic. If I have to read it, right? For them, it's just, oh, my mom's going to read it to me. Now, do I really need to understand everything that I'm reading to them? No, because there are so many books, and this is based on a true story. The big books I picked up 5 years ago, I would read it and I would make my own pretend story from the Arabic text. I did not know the whole thing. I did not know the whole content. So because, and I would just support it from the picture. I'm like, oh, okay, maybe this is what, like, there are certain things you can do if you have the time to like read up, look up the words, etc., etc. It depends on how much of that storybook you want to make as like a teaching session versus a fun session, right? So if as a parent, you have the time to read it before, go for it. If not, you just pick the Tuta Tuta book, right? And you make your own story. You read the Arabic, but you create your own story with the child. And the next time the story can be different because maybe a year later you understand a lot more. And that is okay as well. It doesn't have to be that I need to know the Google Translate of every single word in that story. Like for example, like this one here, Adnan wa Tabaq Ramadan. It is a hilarious story about this boy. Now the boy's name is Adnan, and Tabaq Ramadan is like Ramadan, like you understand Ramadan, and then the plate, or the food, the dish he's carrying for Ramadan, right? It's a story of how he takes that food dish from one floor to another from different neighbors. Now the way children connect with this book, the content might be a little on the heavier side, but they see the pictures, they see the different food that are like culturally relevant that are mentioned in the book, and those are the things that connect the child to the book. And if you don't understand anything, you can just keep saying, oh, now Adnan goes to this person's house, now he goes to that person's house, and then the third and the fourth, and that's the end of the story, right? But what happens is then the children are able to connect with that Arabic book beyond just, oh, Adnan yadhabu ila is to, or towards. You don't need to do that. You can just like have that flow going as you're reading that book. So this was just to bring in this idea that this is like the first level. Now, so what is then, so what, how do I go to the next step? Okay, I like these books, they're shiny. How do I know which ones are not or good, which ones are good or which ones I shouldn't be choosing? I would say, based on like working with children for years and years now, books that have, now sentences can be heavy or light, that doesn't matter. You can take storybooks that have 2-word sentences as well. Except suppose I'm talking about children who are like 6+, because 0 to 6 you're looking at really simple 2-word sentences. But what about the 6+ categories, children who are 6 to 12? You can take paragraphs, right? But make sure the storyline, right? Like even when you flip through the page, right? Like when you flip from the picture, from the illustrations, the pictures, you're able to deduce some kind of storyline. And I would say make use of that storyline to see whether that would fit what your child is interested in. Like if I have to give a book like this one here, I don't really know how to read this. The haluka? Yeah, oh, okay. That's like the thing. Okay. So the playground structure. Yeah, slide, exactly. The haluka. Because that's not like, there's no like the haluka, but that's a part of this haluka. Okay. So if something like this, I know for sure from a fact that if I have to pick this up for my 7-year-old son, he's not really interested in animals, right? This might not be something, and right now I'm not just looking at the cover. I'm thinking, say if I flip through and it's all about things happening between animals, etc., etc. My younger one is like, she's 4, and she likes animals, so anything which is related to animals would work better for her. And some books have like dark themes and something about like them going through some space, or like, you know, some kind of travel zone or whatever. And if you know your child likes things like these, pick it up. So the first step is the cover, but then you pick these books up, flip through 4 or 5 pages and see, what does the storyline look like? Is this something your child would that make them curious, for example? If not like wanting to understand everything, but just curious. If it's something about, I'm going to go to another publisher here. I don't know if you can see. So Salwa Publishing, these are also one of our favorites. They have these book series that are super popular among children. Like, I don't know if you can see this here, these ones here, the Jad Watala series. It's about brother and sister and how they keep, like, you know, they have all kinds of situations where they are heading for the dentist, or they are creating a car at home, crafting something, like not sharing their lunchbox, etc., etc. Very, very relatable themes when you look at it like that. So, and content wise, I would say, and for those of you who had that question of the content is really hard, I would say if you want to start with any publisher, because I know we will be giving out vouchers for a bunch of publishers. If your children, if your children are 6+ and they are finished the Qaida Nuraniya, they can read the Quran, like, you know, but they can't really understand what the words are, and you want them to have like books that have simple Arabic words, but still a good storyline, right? Like that's the idea. It's not just, you don't want to give your child a book that has things that says bab and, you know, and then tufah and tooth, and then it's like, oh, it's simple, but then why would they be interested in that, right? So I think if there's one publisher, and I don't want to be partial because all of them are really good, but Salwa Books, Salwa Publishing, have been phenomenal in their use. Najat, the author of most of these books, I think, like, I don't know if the whole thing is by the same author, but Najat, if you can see the name of the thing, yeah, exactly. Najat. So her books are, the words she uses are so simple that even if you don't get it in the first time, and I'm telling you this out of experience, the pictures, if the storyline, there's so much story going on each page that you have enough content to like, or enough story, like the story. Imagine if you open a storybook and one page, and all the words on that page will be linked to some part of that image. So there's no, I mean, even if you don't understand something, there's always some picture that indicates that, oh, that's what it means in the sentence. So content wise, as a linguist too, I'm like, this is my recommendation. I would really want you to check out, and they are based in Jordan, so they have publishers here as well in the UAE, but I think you would get a better deal at the book fair because you have a wider range of books there. But just don't feel overwhelmed when you go, because they will have the higher end books as well. And look at the content again, like the stories, the illustrations, but also these simple texts. And you as an adult too, if you want to improve your Arabic, I would say these books, not just this series, I'm just saying any books by this publisher, As-Salwa, their content is like really simple and easy to grasp. Like within maybe if you have that book for like 2 or 3 months, you'll get the hang of it, and you're like, okay, I want more from this publisher. So that would be definitely one of the recommendations. Any other publishers who anybody in the audience would like to share, who if you have any personal favorite, we can always put it up here and share it with the rest of the group here. Any other publishers that anybody knows of?
What about Al Rabia publishers?
Yeah, I don't know if I have their direct Rabia publishing. I know I have them. Yeah, I have them on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what age group would you say is there?
For 3 to 6, I found some good titles with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I just got one from the the library last week.
Yeah. So libraries have a lot of their books. Yes, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have some wonderful collections. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can always check their catalogs and all of that stuff. They have a lot of books that are like educational for younger children. So if you're teachers and you want to use these books to have like a curriculum, so those are good ones as well. But their general collection also is really good, and they are based in the UAE. Yeah, so they have a space.
I can show you one example that I just want to show the story. I'll just turn on my video.
Okay.
I don't know if you though. Can you see the book title? Wait, I have to. Yeah. So this is a book about Akhi Yabki Kathiran, and it's become like a favorite for my kids. So I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and my son, the younger one, used to cry a lot. So this was like, oh my God, so relatable to my older one. And just open it up and show it to you guys. Very simple sentences, just one-line sentences, and repetition of words. So that sort of helps with the retention for the kids, right? And things that the kids can relate to. So there's a milk bottle. I bring him a milk bottle, he's still crying. I take him out for a walk, he's still crying. I give him a teddy bear, he's still crying. So, sort of like critical thinking as well comes in here. Okay, how do I solve this problem? And there's also humor in the end. So he gives him TV and he's still crying. So children will be, oh my God, how is that possible? So, and then in the end, what happens is that mama comes and she solves the problem. And basically he needed a diaper change. And then everyone starts laughing at, oh my God, so silly. And now the child is happy. Oh, sorry, what happened? I need to mute now.
Yes, that's excellent. Thank you, Hafsa. Thank you for sharing. So I think what we have been discussing so long, I think that's a good example of how we want you to be able to, you didn't really have to read the text to know what it is, right? Eventually you want to, yeah, exactly. It's like, I wanted to know what happens, like, how does this get solved? And even I wasn't reading the Arabic, and even if Hafsa wasn't telling me what's happening, but the pictures, I'm like, okay, what happens? And then there's humor and there's repetition. These are, I think, these two things that are very important that she mentioned. Now, you don't have to go and look for repetition or humor. The good publishers, their books already have that, because that work is done by these authors, right? Like, they understand child psychology and what works. So that really, really helps in wanting the child to go back to the book again and again and again. And yeah, thank you for sharing. Yeah, Jazakallah khair. And I think, I have lots of books to show, but then I said, you know what, I don't want to be partial about which books I show and which books I don't. And there are tons of books. But then that's the point, that the book fair is the point where you can actually, yes, level reader books. Level reader books, that there's another author whose books I would recommend for that. And we have been working with them for the last 4 years, all through COVID. Wahat al Hekayat. I'm going to quickly share their page with them, and they always have a stall at the book fair as well. And we live by these books. There is no questioning. Even if you want deals for to get their online, they have an e-library as well. we actually have a deal for Arabically where their annual library, e-library, I'm talking about the e-library, is for like, I think $120. That comes up to, I don't know, like maybe 400 dirhams, etc. But we were able to get for Arabically, and if you go through the Arabically website, I'm not plugging this in as a promotion, but just because we're talking about storybooks, it's 180 dirhams. So in 180 dirhams, you get that annual membership, which has like 200, 300 Arabic storybooks. So that's Wahat al Hekayat. If you look at their website, you won't really understand what's going on, because like these are the kind of books, exercise books, series. So Anisa, answering your question, I think they have different level series. The ones for letters, the ones for mud, the ones where you are joining letters, like the whole range. And you will also find that in these level series, not just for Wahat al Hekayat, there are a couple of publishers that do a really good job with level series. But I always found that they were still for kids who finished Qaida Nurani, or like, basically they've completed all their letters, they know, and then, then they want to move on to the next 2-word sentences or just recognizing letters. Wahat al Hekayat, they're also UAE based, and we have worked with like even our reading programs for Arabically, we have used them online, offline. Like you see these books like these, they work wonders for the 0 to 6 age group, and 6+ as well. I've had times where my son, like when I put up the e-library, like I have a lot of their physical books, but also the e-library, when we sit and read these books, like all of these series, see 2-word, because the website is like translating from Arabic, that's why it looks like that. But ma hada, so the entire book is about ma hada, and uridu baluna dakhil wa kharij kalimatan. So this entire series is called Kalimatan, and it has an entire like collection of books that are only 2 words. So the entire, and she's hilarious. Like there's humor, there's clarity in sentences, and the characters are very interesting. So children kind of always want to know, okay, what's next? Yeah. So Wahat al Hekayat, definitely. So I have a couple of questions here. Before that, I'm just going to quickly show on Arabically, on our website, you can actually access the e-library. So just so that it's easier. So if you go to our services on the main menu, it is Arabically e-library. And that's where, because if you go through her website, that's for the general public, but we got a specific deal for people who come to Arabically, because we know they're such good books. So here, if you go to the early reader section here, this is the thing, join the early reader membership. It's basically, you pay for it, and then we send you a code, which gives you access to that for a year. That's what it is. Would anybody like me to show the inside of the e-library? The thing is, right now we're doing more physical books. That's why I don't want to mention ebooks as much. The one advantage of ebooks is that they are cheaper, because in a 180 dirhams, for example, you get access to so many ebooks, right, for young children. And based on what books or things they like, you can always go and purchase those books if you feel like you want to invest in them further on. All right, so that brings us to the end of like the discussion for today, but I just have one last poll that I will share, and I'm going to check the questions that we have on here. So level reader books, okay. Yeah, so that's Wahat al Hekayat. We have a voucher for them as well, and I think they're giving us, I think, 20% off. So if you go, so all these coupons, we will email the list to you. I will show you the coupon list actually, so that's just easier for everybody. You just have them on your phone, and you show it to them when you are at the stall. And if you can't find the stall, you can always go at the, we are trying to find the stall numbers for each of them, but in case you get lost, just ask the information desk where these stalls are at the book fair at the Expo Center in Sharjah. So Kalimat, that's also one of our favorite UAE-based, their level reader series. So what we did is we mentioned what they're good for, just so that, the names are not confusing for you over here. They're level readers. This is Wahat al Hekayat. So they're also giving us 20%. So all you need to do is show this coupon on your phone. You don't have to print it out, and they will give you that percentage off. Okay, inshallah. There's Al Yasmine, which they have entered the market recently. Yes, is there a question? Okay. So, but earlier this year, so the children's book fair, they are at that fair as well. I think I purchased at least 10 books from them, because they were really, really like, because we have used a lot of their books in our for our older children's workshops where we do the level readers. So I would use the online books, but then when I saw them physical, the physical copies, I'm like, I need to have these because they're so much more easier. Okay. And the Salwa, that the other one that I mentioned, that had really easy content. Like if you're looking for easy content, and the best thing is, like, all of these books, like when you think of, you're like, okay, why should I invest so much in these Arabic books? Believe it or not, somewhere down the lane, they're always connected to what you're reading in the Quran. Like that's what happens, and that's the magic, right? Or that's the, let's not say magic, like that's the special part about these books. They are connecting you to a higher thing in ways you don't understand when you're actually reading and like, you know, exploring these storybooks. And that's what makes it fun. Like at this point, you can't expect your child to do a word to word or Google Translate, but then they can just pick up 3 books from a storybook, right? Like even if they pick up three words in a year from one book, I still think that's a good deal, because they keep getting more and more out of the book as the years go by. Then Hawa says, we have all their books. Oh, okay. I started reading them for my daughter when she started to talk. Yeah, exactly. So don't wait till your child is 6. My younger one always sat with us when we were reading, like, you know, with my older child, and they just listen. And you don't really need to understand. Like, honestly, if you're looking for content, you have certain publishers, but just go for the simple ones and make it as a learning experience even for you, right? Even if you don't understand those. Interested in ebooks, okay. Yeah, some of them, yeah, exactly. So that's the idea, right? Some of us are not comfortable with e content, but then right now, maybe 4 years back before COVID, I would reason it out and say, hey, no screen for toddlers. But now their screen for toddlers is like a thing, right? And if I can if the screen time can be them listening to Arabic storybooks and reading, or like just watching content of Arabic, like good storybooks, versus Cocomelon, you know what I would choose. So for those of you who are not comfortable, totally, like that's why there's the book fair. That's the reason why I would be happy to invest in Arabic storybooks, but then they are pricey, and that's why we're getting them deals. But sometimes you might still think, hey, you know what, this early readers book set is 280 dirhams. It has 28 books, and you think, oh, it's 10 dirham per book, but then you don't want to invest 280 dirhams in a box. But then I still want my child to like understand the basics, or get going. So that's the reason why we kind of force the publisher, the Wahat al Hekayat, to kind of say, hey, have a cheaper or like more economical option for those who do not want to invest in a one-shot 280 dirham book set, right? So yeah, so Arpita, I think I would say that was the main idea for those who can. But then if you really would want to invest in, and you don't need 100 books. Like honestly, we do not need 100 books. Like, because when we bought books, when COVID hit, we had like maybe 15 books with us, and we were fine for at least 2 years with just those 15 books, because there's so much to explore within those books, even if they're simple. Yeah, any other books, just ladies, quickly, like, pop it into the chat box. We have like a few more minutes before we wrap it up for today. I will, in the meantime, quickly open up the library just to show you how it looks right from the inside. Okay. So I'm going to share the library now, the e-library for the younger readers. And the reason I'm showing this to you is because just that you know what the content looks like. And if you decide to choose the e-library, you go for the e-library. But if you choose to buy these books, this is your chance to go to the fair, get to the stall, and look at these books physically. Because believe it or not, in the UAE, you don't have enough Arabic storybooks on display. Most of these publishers are having offices in some corner of Dera or Silicon Oasis. So you really have to, it's not like as a family, you don't really go and, pick and choose and buy. That's the issue. And until we as Arabically, as a community, we get to that point where they are mainstream, we need to make use of these book fairs, right? Okay. Did I say, Or okay, thoughts on Arabic audiobooks. We will answer that in a bit, Julia. Do you happen to know of any good Arabic audio? Okay, so audiobooks. So that seems to be okay. Okay, so let me share this this academy, this online one. So this basically I have the Google English to translate on. So it basically converts everything that's in Arabic to English. But that's okay if you're okay with understanding English by itself. I mean Arabic by, that's okay. So they have 3 categories here, but the one that we are subscribed to, like through the library, is this, the Maktabati Shamila. That's like the comprehensive library. And when you get in, this is the first thing, like Ilal Maktaba. So this is inside the portal, like inside your e-library for Wahat al Hekayat. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm just going to have the English one now. And see it. Let's just load for a few seconds. Can everybody see my screen? If anybody can just say yes, or because I don't know if I'm just yes, okay. So these are the series, right? Like there's whatever collections she had as a book set are all in here, like this. And then there's this the Silsilat al Kalimatan. Remember the one we just saw? Ma Haza, or any other one? Uridu Balloon. Okay, let's just click on this. So some of them have audio in them, so it reads it out, and some of them are without. So if you see here, there's a play button here. I can put it on screen. Right?
سلسلة كلمتان. القصة 15. أريد بالونا. بالون صغير وبالون كبير. بالون قريب وبالون بعيد. بالون قصير وبالون طويل.
Right. Oh my God. I think I stopped sharing the whole thing. Okay. So basically that's the idea. I just want to close this. Right. So that way you have, this is what I meant when you said you have access to a lot of books. And it's, if you want to say audiobooks in sense of for younger children, because it kind of, you just play it and it just, sits, and, the child can be sitting, and then, it kind of goes by itself till the end of the book. And they have all the series, like all her awesome books, like amazing books are in there. And I would not restrict it to a 0 to 6 age group. I would say it also works well for especially for non-Arabs, like, because we don't read as much like our children. These books can go up to like even 9-10-year-old children, and the content actually works for like older children, because they don't want silly funny animals, right? They maybe want something where there's some. The only thing I would say for these books is not all of them have a storyline. Like the reader series do, like the book sets, but then these ones where it's more for vocabulary, some of them have storylines, but most of them are just like, oh, this is happening, and then this is happening. Qarib, ba'id, thaqil, khafif, like that kind of stuff. But then I think that works for children who are really looking to just read to understand and feel like, yay, I get it, right? So yeah, so this is Wahat al Hekayat, and you can actually access it from Arabically under early readers. So if you go into services and early readers, you get a better deal for that. Okay. The other audio book series is Storytime with Data. I can actually put that up here. Storytime with Data. That's another one. Storytime with Data. If you can look her up in on YouTube. So she has a lot. So a lot of these books, like say Yasmine's books, and the popular titles, the popular books in the Arabic literature, children's literature. She actually has audio versions of all of these books. So some of them have like the video with the book turning, but say you just want to put it on in the car, and you have the book in the car as well, and you want your child to be listening to it, but then they are reading. That's totally possible. Like there are different ways, but as long as you stay within the scope of books that work for your children, I think all of you should be good, inshallah. Okay, I will quickly share. I hope I answered everybody's. Would you recommend to get Arabic Seeds subscription? Arabic Seeds is, so see, Wahat al Hekayat for young children, Arabic Seeds for resources, and Kalimat, Salwa, and all of these publishers for like older children. Like we use a combination of all of these depending on what our children really like. So I would totally Arabic Seeds. We also have like a collaboration with Arabic Seeds, Arabically. So you can definitely get a good deal if you want to get Arabic Seeds. Just send us an email, Arpita at Inspired Arabically if you want to get that offer as well. So everybody who's been on with us for so long, I just want to make note that you're here so that we can send you the vouchers by email, because there are one or two people who haven't confirmed the percentage that is off. So I'm just waiting for that. But we will be emailing it to you by tonight or by tomorrow morning latest. And if we don't, please pester us, because if you think that you haven't received the coupon, please let us know. So I'm going to share my screen one last time. So you can just add in your email addresses so that I know that you're in here and you can get access to the voucher. Are popular English book translations available, like Oliver Jeffers or Juliet? Why would you want the translations though? Like, that's what I'm wondering. Is it because you want to know you want familiar content? Because Arabic authors, like, we could do another entire session on young adult fiction and the literature of it, like, for like teenagers and a little older. There's a huge market where they actually, like, the Arabic authors, like, in their style, bring in the culture or whatever, that like their nuances of the language in. So, and I don't think a translation would do justice to those topics or to those ideas. But that said, I would probably check it out for you if anything. But I would want to know, why would you want that? Like, is it because you want to have family content? Okay, because kids are familiar with it. And,
I just want to add something. I've
Yeah.
tried to find the Eric Carle ones, like the Hungry Caterpillar and Brown Bear, but it doesn't do justice, like you said. Like, it doesn't.
Okay.
You can't really relate to it. But it's nice if you want to try to learn the vocabulary. But otherwise, no. Like you said, there's so many Arab authors out there who have great content.
Yeah. It's like, see, like, okay, let me put it this way. When children are reading higher cognitive level content, right? Like books like, by Oliver Jeffers or Julia Donaldson, etc. They are looking at that paragraph or that content as a whole, right? And if they're reading Arabic, even the Arabic translation of that, they will not be able to like actually say, oh, that word meant exactly that in English, right? It's just like, it's what they're getting out of it as a whole that actually helps them understand the story, right? Thank you, Nisa. So I guess that would be the trade-off. That what are you really trying to get? Like, is it like, if it's a Cinderella story, or like, things which are like simple stories, maybe you can really do like oh, I know the content, so I want to read what's I don't know, like Goldilocks and the Three Bears in Arabic. That's good. Like, I have seen books like that. If you go to Dubai Public Libraries, you see a lot of these, translated from English story like content. But I feel like the real charm of the language lies in storylines that are connected very closely to the culture of that language. Be it Islamic culture, be it historical culture, or be it UAE, or like what's happening, like like or Palestine. Like, I have storybooks that I got and I couldn't find them in the UAE. I had to actually order them from publishing houses or like bookstores in the Canadian bookstores, which basically had like Arabic Canadian bookstores, books on Palestine, for example. I couldn't find them here, and they're children's books, and they're amazing. And I can do an entire session on how culturally, Islamically, like language-wise, linguistically, they're so relevant to children, and then the images are amazing and all of that stuff. And I would think that if there was an English storybook, and if it was just translated to Arabic, would not do justice to that content. I hope that answers the question. Yeah. So yeah, I'm getting people's like email addresses here. That's okay. Like, I just want to know, and just a little bit of feedback. And I want everybody to read what you're like. Nobody knows who's who. It's just we all just kind of see what everybody's saying about. Oops, give me a second. if there are any more questions, I know because we were jumping up and down here and there. Oops, sorry, here you go. I want my kids to be fluent in Arabic. Yep, that's the idea. Or like right now, I would say that a few years back, I'd be like, I want them to be fluent. But now I feel like I want them to stay connected. Like I think that's what I want now. They can decide if they want to reach fluency, because what do we mean by fluency? Should they be able to speak with people? Should they become scholars? Should they be able to teach? Like there's so many levels of fluency, right? I think like for me personally, I would say, okay, let them decide what level, but I will support them with the connection part. I want them to know that, you know, you don't really have to break down everything to read a storybook. The way they pick an English storybook, if they pick like that's one of the things that we do in the night. Like, oh, I want to read 3 storybooks, right? Like if before sleeping or in the morning, and I'm like, okay, if there's 3, I say 2, and they say 2. I'm like 3 Arabic, and they go like, no. Okay, so we negotiate, and then it's 1 Arabic and 2 English. So this is how we started. But now, because the storybook content itself is fun, almost that the Arabic ones are way more fun than English, because I don't really care about the English storybook so much. They just pick up the Arabic storybooks because they know the story is good. Whether they completely understand or not, they don't care. So I think as parents, we should also stop caring so much about understanding everything. That's the idea. Available, yeah. So you wanted to know where so like these publishers, I would definitely recommend. So when I send you these vouchers, please go and check out these publishing stalls, because they really do a good job. Yeah. Did I answer everybody? No. So that brings us to the end of the webinar. I know I said 1 hour, and I don't intend to go overboard. So Jazakallah khair for everybody for joining in. I'm going to stop recording.